So I got a text from somebody that I really think is a great person and someone that's very based and has the capacity to dream and think outside the box, but also has the ability to stay in reality. And this person said to me, I don't know what they were watching, but this person said to me, how come girls want to marry serial killers in prison? And it's not the first time somebody has said that or asked my opinion on that, but I was just thinking about it because I was able to fire off 6 reasons automatically straight away with no thinking really. And they found it quite interesting that I was able to do that. Because for me, some of the reasons come from literary rules and plots and tropes, and then it comes from a psychology point of view, and then also from one of having experience being in a relationship that wasn't productive or that was abusive or negative. But here are my reasons, and here are my thoughts on this subject because it's kind of interesting. And you may have noticed that doing true crime documentaries or videos on YouTube is quite lucrative. Some people do their makeup while they're speaking about it. Some people stand in a dark room and just describe things and put articles on the screen like how I do with these videos. Some people actually play interviews or some interrogation footage, things like that. And so generally speaking, I think with programs that are on streaming services, everyone seems to be gravitating towards learning more about the serial killers. And there are some theories on why that is as well. One of them being that perhaps the notion of a serial killer might not carry on to the time and space that we now live in due to CCTV and DNA and advances in technology. So probably in theory, just say in a couple of decades, who's to say what crime will look like? Because the ability to commit such crimes will be made harder. Maybe that's part of it. People want to know about an era of history that might not be replicated in the future or that is dying out. Some of it might also be the fact that we are so bombarded with tragedy every single day, whether it's from movies or the news and things like that, that we need something to feel. And maybe there's a little bit of dopamine, like a little hit that's like, ooh, crimes are actually real and it's not like the movies and things like this happen in real life. So maybe it's a wake-up call for some people. So why do women go after men in jail? Why do women marry people in jail that aren't going to get out? Number 1, my vagina can change him. Which is a massive reason why a lot of women do anything. My vagina can change him. My vagina can change him. He has a bad attitude. But when he meets me, he'll see how awesome I am and he'll voluntarily change. Okay. My vagina can change him. I will get him into shape. He will not do that stuff around me. My vagina can change him. I'm sweet and nice and he'll want to just be a good person. My vagina can change him. We're just going to hang out and he's just going to have the simple life and realize that my vagina can change him. 2, I'm understanding and he isn't just what he did, which is a very noble stance to take on this subject matter because sometimes you realize that someone has committed a crime or a felony or something wrong that they've done in their past when they were young, and it was only a split-second decision that they made. They were immature, whatever the reason was, or they were under duress, and they made this decision. And they're actually sitting behind bars now paying for it for the next 15, 20 years for a split decision in their life. So one could say, I don't want to think this person is just that moment in time, because before that they were decent, after that they were decent, or before that they were on drugs and they were trying to clean up their life, or they were under the influence and they committed this thing. So whatever, they aren't the crime that they committed. And this goes for those that you see that convert to Christianity or they end up being a follower of a religion. People do change while they're incarcerated. There's a lot of time. They've got a lot of time to sit there and think and to pursue interests that they might not have been able to because they were distracted by a regular life. It could all be bullshit too. Someone sitting behind bars like, hey, I love you. Don't believe what the paper said. I didn't really do that. Or there was more to it than that, but that guy and I had beef going way back. There's a backstory, so that person gets their would-be wife to believe them. Or maybe the would-be wife just thinks, yep, he did that, I don't really care, I'm so desperate, or this is more exciting and I'd rather just pursue this, and talk themselves into doing it anyway. 3, this man can handle his shit. I know, right? It's kind of sick, but I do know that there is a component to it where women say, well, this guy did what he had to do. He went through to the furthest point of no return that a person can do in this life. So there are certain things in this life that you and I will never experience because we're not fucking crazy. But there are things we won't experience because not that we don't think outside the box, but we don't act outside the box. So you might have some bitch at work that you really hate and you think, you know what, I just want to take you behind the building and slam your head into... Anyway, I'm moving on. But you don't do it. You don't do it because that is not how you act in society. And it's morally wrong, and it might not go with what your beliefs are of what a human being should act like. So you don't do that. But some people think outside that box, and that is a draw card sometimes for other people. This man can handle it. This man can go to the limits and go above the limits and do what he has to do. So there is some kind of attraction to the fact that this guy doesn't care about the law. He doesn't care about what he should do. He just did things and he needed to get them done, and that's a merit. Maybe not so much in that way to the rest of us, but it is a merit to see someone, a man, woman, whoever, handle their stuff. It just so happens this guy yeeted somebody. 4. This man has experienced something few ever will, and I want to see what kind of person that is, and I want to own that. So I guess it's like when people are famous, you get the clingers and the hangers-on and the groupies, and people that say that they've been involved with someone, even if they weren't, but they want to be involved with someone for the mere fact that they want to be a part of it and touch that greatness. Not that serial killers are great, but just that they're well known sometimes. So someone wants to know that and harness that. So something about this person that's killed everybody that's potentially very, very dangerous is mine. And I want to own that. It's kind of like people that have a military man fetish, or, for example, I have a sibling that's quite big made and large and usually garners the attention of skinny girls that are mouthy and try to get him into fights and that kind of stuff. They like being able to drag around this big being, and for that being to be at their beck and call and their women to enter the room with this thing that's powerful and hope it rubs off onto them. 5. Nearly every literary trope, mine included with the dark horse novels, not to this extent, but this is definitely part of it. You see things like, I'm sorry to bring this up, Twilight, for example. A very raw, in-your-face example, because there is no disputing what this actually is. The tagline literally is something like, and the lion fell in love with a lamb. That's the thing. That's what we as women are brought up to like in novels and TV shows and romance novels. I've never really read a romance novel, but from what my friends told me, it's kind of like that. So you got this bad boy and he forsakes the rest of the world enough to kill, but he's nice to this one girl and she's the one that can tame him. So these girls go out and they look for a bad boy that's bad to everybody else but treats them okay. And so I think that's part of it too. If there's a guy in prison that's in there because he's killed somebody and he's writing you letters about how your eyes sparkle like the oceans he can no longer see or something, then that's kind of a fantasy that maybe you don't actually realize you have. It's just come about through reading literature and watching movies. It's the same thing as superhero movies sometimes. This little meek and mild girl handles this person that can become the greatest thing, the most powerful thing. And 6. He ain't getting out, girl. He can't hurt you. I have spoken to a psychologist that has commented on how some women will gravitate towards a long distance relationship, or one where she doesn't see her husband or partner for a long time or a long period of time in periods of time, or someone that's incarcerated. And what it is that person's been abused in the past, or someone's been violent towards them while in a relationship, and the other person can't hurt them. So if your beloved is in jail, you have control over when you see them or when you speak to them. And if you're sick of their shit, you just walk out and go home and you don't have to speak to them for a little bit. And so he said that's a thing that some of these women who have been abused or have been mistreated would gravitate towards these people, because they have control. They know where that person is 24/7, literally 24/7. They know what that person's eating. They know that they're the only key into this room from the outside world, and that this person looks forward to seeing them because it gets them out of the dreary, the drudge of being incarcerated. So there are my 6 reasons off the top of my head. I'm sure I could come up with more. It's a very interesting phenomenon, particularly that now that technology is moving into jails and people can email from jail and people can get more visits, and I don't know about conjugal visits. Ooh, I don't even know if they do them anymore. I think you have to qualify for them, and I don't know how you do that. I think we're going to see that along with long distance relationships, relationships with incarcerated people or inmates are going to be more common too. Well, 1, because there's so many people in there, but 2, because technology has allowed us to conduct a relationship of sorts with people that we can't see every single day. Don't want to be one of those people that's asking you to sub and like, but if you feel like commenting or liking, that would help me out. It'll give me the power to do more of these episodes.